to help, or you will do it?
Yes, it is on.
Okay.
Perfect.
Sure.
Thanks. Thanks very much. Okay, awesome. Hello, fellow Rotarians. It's my absolute honor to introduce someone I deeply admire, not just for his brilliance, but for the boldness and kindness he brings to one of the most urgent missions of our time. Dr. Sailesh Rao is a systems engineer by training and a systems thinking by nature. After a distinguished career working on the infrastructure of the internet, including engineering the very technology that enables tools like Zoom and YouTube, he turned his focus to something even more profound, healing the earth. Dr. Rao is the founder and executive director of Climate Healers, a nonprofit organization dedicated to reversing climate change through compassionate systems-level solutions. He has served as lead author on climate reports for the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, the same body that shared the Nobel Peace Prize with Al Gore in 2007. He's also the executive producer of several award-winning documentaries, including Cowspiracy, What the Health, They're Trying to Kill Us, films that have reached millions and helped spark global conversations around food systems, justice, and environmental sustainability. What sets Sailesh apart isn't just his credentials, it's his courage to ask the hard questions, to follow the science wherever it leads, and to offer a bold, hopeful vision of a future where we work in harmony with nature and each other. And his message is deeply aligned with Rotary values, service above self to peace building through action. And he believes organizations like Rotary can be pivotal in turning the tide. And last week, he spoke at the We Rotary Club of International Peace with Kat Haber and Al Jubitz, reminding us that we stand at an extraordinary moment with the power to regenerate and co-create a compassionate, sustainable future. We were also fortunate enough to have Sailesh with us at RICON this year, and he actually got to stay at my house, which was such an honor, giving talks and interviews, joining our Building a Better World workshop, and delivering a moving presentation at the Peace Park. He dedicated an entire week to helping Rotarians explore and deepen our shared commitment to serving humanity and protecting Mother Earth. And at the heart of his work is a pinky promise to his granddaughter, Kimaya, that she and her generation will inherit a livable, peaceful, and thriving planet. His mission is rooted in love and in the belief that together we can build that future. So please join me in welcoming a visionary engineer of systems and of the human spirit, Dr. Sailesh Rao.
Thank you so much, Don. My apologies for this confusion. I am actually on my way to New York City to do an interview with John Stossel and Stossel TV. And I don't have my laptop with me, so I'm going to give you a brief overview of Planet B, which is the systems engineering framework that we have been working on to create a sustainable, thriving world for all of us. So it begins with the observation that humans are just one species among millions on this planet. And we are the one species that has been able to alter the life support systems of the planet. So we have altered it and brought 7 of the life support systems outside the safe zone. So these are the 7 planetary boundary transgressions that the Stockholm Resilience Center has been identifying. And so this tells us that we have the power to actually impact the life support systems of the planet. And so the observation that we make in Planet B's framework is that if we have the power to change or alter the life support systems of the planet, we have the responsibility to maintain them. So we have the responsibility to maintain them and keep them in the safe zone. So which means that we need to organize around maintaining and stabilizing the life support systems of the planet. We have no choice but to do that because no species can do that. So that requires a different systems engineering framework than because right now our human engineered systems are causing the life support systems of the planet to go out of the safe zone. So it's a systems engineering problem. And to me, any systems engineering problem, I'm there. I'm saying, well, how can I help? Because it is ultimately systems engineering that caused the problem in the first place, or the lack of systems engineering caused the problem in the first place. Because all our systems have been organically grown to where they are today. So we look at how we optimize any system, whether it's a food production system or a food distribution system or a shelter system or a water distribution system. You look at how they have been engineered and you realize that they have been engineered with an objective function that is all about making profit for someone, as opposed to providing the necessary service to humanity. Because we have built all our systems under the constraint of capitalism. And capitalism requires growth, it requires profit maximization. Now, it's a good way to grow and build up our strength. It has brought us to where we are. But now we have to figure out how to do it in a way that is in alignment with nature and with alignment with the life support systems of the planet. So that's the Planet B systems engineering framework. And I've written a book about it called There is a Planet B, which first identifies that there is a different way we can look at these things and actually engineer systems that work for all of us. Now, this unleashes the most creative period in human history, in my opinion, because we have to rethink everything, rethink how we do everything. And so in the book, I outlined how we do different aspects of our life. How can we re-engineer different aspects of our life? And it's completely in alignment with the Rotary values. It's basically service of ourself and and being in alignment with nature. So we wrote a technical paper about it, which is going to be published in the MDP as special issue on challenges, global challenges, by the Planetary Health Alliance. And I am actually speaking with the Institute for Electrical and Electronic Engineers, the IEEE, tomorrow to build a standard around Planet B so that anyone can then implement a community according to that standard and plug into the Planet B network and thereby create a global community of people who are working in alignment with nature. So that's the goal. And let me give you a few aspects of what this Planet B framework will look like. The main, firstly, it's the food system. If you look at the food system today, we are actually extracting 6 times as much food as we need from the planet in terms of total biomass. And yet, 800 million people are going hungry, and 9 million people are dying of hunger or hunger-related causes every year. So why is it so inefficient? It is inefficient because it is not optimized for making sure that every human being gets the adequate nutrition. It is actually optimized to make sure that billionaires have access to 7 different types of caviar at any given time. So that's the optimization criteria that's been used in the food system today. So it's tremendously inefficient. Not only are people at the bottom of the economic ladder not getting enough food and going hungry, people at the top of the economic ladder are eating all the wrong foods and getting sick. And so you have diabetes and you have all kinds of chronic diseases that are endemic at the top of the economic ladder. And in fact, 30 million people are dying of avoidable chronic diseases at the top of the economic ladder. So it's a system that's not working for anybody. Okay. And so we have to now figure out how do we create a system that works for everybody. And so we begin with axioms. We begin with looking at the foundations of planet A, the current system, and identifying why the foundations are causing us to create systems that don't work, and then creating new systems that work for everybody based on the correct axioms. So it will primarily be a plant-based system, food system, that will be implemented on planet B. And of course, there are some areas where it may be impossible for them to have plant-based systems and they may have to eat animals, but that's an exception. So wherever it's possible, we are going to make plant-based the default on planet B and make healthy whole food plant-based meals free as opposed to subsidizing fast food that makes everybody sick. So we are creating a system, a planet-based system that's around health. It's about adequate nutrition for everyone. And so it's basically doing a systems engineering, optimizing for the right criteria. Now, of course, we all have to agree what the right criteria is. And this is why we go through a standardization process where we get comments from people. And so there's an entire process that I went through when I was working on the internet. And it's the same process. Sorry about that. So we are going to be working on creating the standards process by which we get input from lots of people and use that to.
Sailesh, we aren't hearing
Yes,
you. Okay.
yes. So that's one example. The food system is just one example. And there's so many systems that need to be transformed. And so we have to then figure out, the same process for transforming other systems, whether it's the shelter systems or what the currency system, which is the main system that needs to be transformed, because it's the currency system that's driving us to do what we do today. Okay, so the currency system has to be transformed to one that makes sure that people who are restoring the planet get more resources, as opposed to people who are extracting from the planet, which is what happens today. So again, it's bringing systems thinking and systems know-how to a civilizational problem, which we are facing today, which is causing the planet to literally die in front of our eyes. So that's the idea behind Planet B. And I'm open to questions now. I don't have any more slides to give you. I'm happy to send my slides to Dawn so that she can distribute it to everybody.
Thank you, Sailesh. You are open to questions, you said? You can manage?
Yes.
Can you? Okay, great. Thank you. Are there questions from the floor? Sailesh would like to have your questions. Yes, Dr. Jenny?
Yes. Sure. Dr. Sailesh, your talk was good. I have a question here. We have been talking about green meat technologies, so how does the Planet B framework view this emerging green meat technology? We're talking about lab-grown meat. So are they stepping stones towards a plant-based world, or are they potential distractions that keep us attached to the meat paradigm? So,
Right.
because we have a company who's manufacturing lab-grown meat and also green meat. So, what is your
Right.
take on this?
Well, it is an acknowledgement that the current system is not working. The current way of producing meat is not working, and so in that sense, it's a step in the right direction. But you have to ask the question: is it really necessary? Because right now, there are plant-based meats like Beyond Meat that
Yes.
are indistinguishable from animal-based meat. So people are not able to tell which is which. They have come that close to it in terms of taste, texture, and so on. So then I ask, why are we creating lab meat? Because lab meat requires us to, to grow it at scale. You need to create an immune system, a circulatory system, a waste disposal system, for the lab meat, like any other animal has, right? And you have to have clean facilities so that there is no contamination that happens to this, because it could quickly grow. So it becomes a technical challenge, and it uses a lot of fossil fuels to implement something like this. So the question I have is, why do we need it when you have Beyond Meat, when you have plant-based meats that are so close to to animal-based meat? So
Yeah, but then what they say is it's guilt-free. Like you feel like you're not killing animals, so you feel happy you're
correct,
not killing. Yeah.
correct. But it still uses a lot of resources, and it is still not healthy for us. So it's still, feeding an addiction, right?
Yes.
So we have to first acknowledge that we really don't need to eat meat to thrive on this planet, to thrive in our bodies, and that we have been deceived into doing that, right? And because of the protein myth and so on. So I see it as a transition for people who cannot eat anything made from plants. They cannot acknowledge that to be meat. Okay, it's a transition food, but eventually we will come around to seeing it as what it is, what it really is. It's not
Yes, but
necessary.
then
Yeah.
I have one more question. Like, but in the plants, like whatever protein we have is not complete. If you need a
Ah,
complete protein, you have to, turn to the animal meat. So because we
right.
miss out on a lot of amino acids. So what is your opinion on this?
Okay. First of all, plants do have all the amino acids. In fact, all plant foods have all amino acids, both essential and non-essential. It's how much do they have of different proteins, have different amino acids? That's the question. And when efficacy tests are run on protein on different foods, these efficacy tests usually look for muscle growth. And when you look for muscle growth as the efficacy test, uh, animal meats work, fare the best. Why? Because animal muscle is very close to our muscle. And this is why animal muscle is the best at growing our muscles. But plant foods have all amino acids. They all have complete protein in that sense. And they are more attuned to growing lots of different kinds of cells, which is what our body really needs. It's not just muscle that we grow. We also need to grow skin cells, liver cells, organ cells. We need to grow blood cells. We need to grow all kinds of cells, because we have all these cells that die, and we need to replace them in our body. So this is why uh, plant protein is actually more attuned to what we need unless you're a bodybuilder and you're constantly trying to grow more and more muscle, uh, in which case, you may need to mix some plant proteins to get the muscle composition. Like you can mix rice and beans, and you'll get the same composition as muscle protein. So in general, plants are adequate for our protein needs. And this is why most huge animals are all plant eaters. Whether it's gorillas or elephants, or rhinos, these are all plant eaters. And they are the biggest animals. Yeah, these are the biggest animals on the planet, right? And if they can do it, we should be able to do it. So it's now a question of, can we do it with just plants? If so, why not? And so it's time for us to, relinquish our use of animals when we don't need to. And that releases a lot of resources on the planet that we can use to restore the planet.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Jenny. Let's move on to our next question from Joan. Joan, would you like to ask your question?
Hi, good morning. I would like to know, I know in the food plant-based initiative, it's a very grassroots movement. And
Right.
I'm just wondering, is the environment, the climate change, would you consider that a grassroots movement? And are you seeing an improved impact over the years? Do you see a trend? Is what I'm getting at. Because I'm very discouraged sometimes, and it would be nice
Yeah.
for people that are in the thick of it to really let me know that there is some impact happening.
Yeah, don't be discouraged. That's my short answer to you. It is going to happen both from the grassroots and from the top down. What happens initially is that the top-down response to a grassroots movement like ours is to try and suppress it. Sorry about that. So it's to try and suppress it. And but as we grow, and we are growing because there is no other way, there is no other solution to our environmental problems. There is no other solution to our health problems. So it's like, nature is to me the perfect system design. She's told us here is a way to do this. And if you want a solution, here it is, right? And people are responding to it. So it's happening. And over time, as the movement grows, the governments will also come on our side. Right now, the governments are doing what the majority wants. The majority is saying, it's all about make sure that I get my meat and make it cheap, right? Yeah. So in that sense, all movements begin at the bottom, and then you'll get support from the top. It's ultimately, this is a complete system transformation, right? So that's what is called for. Because the reason why governments are not supporting plant-based right now is because it will shrink the economy for them. And for them, growth is the major objective. It's always about growth.